Hello, my babes. Welcome to another Self Reflection Sunday. Today, I'm going to be talking about um, my situationship and how I learned to be vulnerable through that experience. I believe it was 2023 now, about 2 years ago. I found myself in a situationship, and I have never really, actually, maybe like one other time I was kind of in a situationship. Um, and if you don't know what a situationship, right, is, right, essentially it's when it's like you're dating someone, but the other person doesn't want to define the relationship and doesn't fully commit, even though everything else feels like and you both act like you're in a relationship, essentially, right? Um, so yeah, I found myself in that in 2023, and at the time, I was practicing speaking my truth, but not just like I had been practicing that for a while already. And I realized after practicing just speaking my truth for a few years, couple years, I finally realized that holy shit, I actually don't know how to be vulnerable. And I'm really actually scared to be vulnerable in terms of telling people when they've hurt me and when there was a more negative feeling going on in quotes. Like, I don't like to label feelings like positive or negative, but that will probably make sense to you guys when I say, like, when I'm hurt or I'm feeling anxious or when I'm feeling jealous. Those kind of emotions, or I'm feeling angry, like those kind of emotions, we don't really express directly much. They may come out in passive aggressive ways a lot of the time, right? And so learning how to express those feelings in a direct way without putting the other person down or like shaming and blaming them was something new for me that I discovered that I didn't really know how to do. Like, this emotional intelligence that I had started cultivating was lacking in that, actually. And so, I had been practicing expressing my feelings um, for a little bit up until this point, until I realized, like, oh my gosh, I am expressing my feelings um, in a way where it was like positive things and like whatever, or I was expressing in a way of like, oh, like I want things done like this, or I like things this way, or I didn't like that, right? And then I got to the layer of like, oh, I am scared to tell people when they've hurt me. Like, I'm terrified, because in society, I feel like we wear a lot of masks in terms of wanting to seem strong and put together, and that we're kind of invincible and nothing really gets to us, right? I think there's a lot of masking going on, and it's not our fault, right? Society does not encourage us to take those masks off, and when we do, a lot of the times we're shamed for it, right? And for women and a lot for men, right? And so, yeah, when I realized this was actually when I was making a video um, for, like, I make content, right, as you know. But yeah, on Instagram, I was making this video um, about, it was a song, actually. Fuck, what was the song? Oh, it was Strangers by Kenya Grace. It was like that track that I was making, kind of like a little tribute video to. And what I realized was that somehow through that track and making that video, I realized I was actually hurting, and I was scared. I was scared that, this person that I was in this situationship in, was gonna be just like all the others in the sense, right? Of it being the same thing again, where it's just kind of we meet and it's not hilarious. It's like fun at first, but eventually it just kind of ends, and then the story continues, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm scared right now. And I'm also hurt that, like, there hasn't been a commitment yet, and I really wanted that, right? I wanted a partner, like I wanted a boyfriend, like I wanted it to be like defined, right? And it just wasn't happening. And yeah, so I the thing about that was I was expressing a lot to this person. I was expressing how I felt, and practicing all of that, but I was unable to be like, I want you to commit and like define this relationship, right? I like kind of tried to, and I kind of did, but then like, they would push back and they didn't want, and at that point it would have been a good idea for me to leave, right? Instead of like sticking around for however as long as I did. So yeah, it was interesting though, because through that situationship I practiced a lot of vulnerability in terms of like how I was feeling when I was like jealous, or when I was feeling kind of sad, or when I was, what else did I do? What else did I express? Um, I was just very expressive. Let's just say that, right? I was like maybe not as much as now, but like that was the situation. The situationship was the situation that allowed me to practice, maybe not allowed, but I chose to practice my vulnerability there, in terms of really being like, okay, I'm feeling this way, now let me express it. I'm feeling this way, now let me say it, right? And prior to that, I was at another phase of, like I said earlier, where I was practicing just kind of speaking my truth in, I like to call it the BB way, where it's just like, oh, I don't like things done this way, I actually like it done this way. Or like, oh, that thing you said, like, I didn't really, it kind of like bothered me a bit, and like, whatever, right? Like, that's like kind of step one, in my opinion, where you start just saying things that you're thinking instead of keeping them in. Of like, oh, I want my bowls put away like this. I would like you to start picking up after your, like, instead of like seething in resentment, being like, yo, like, do this thing, like, whatever, right? To me, that's like kind of step one, in terms of, let's say, if you're in a relationship, where you start like advocating for yourself and your environment, and like what you start requesting things of the other person, right? And then step two is more like, hey, like, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling like angry because of this, can we come up with like a game plan around this thing, so that perhaps we can like sidestep this the next time. And so I don't know, to me there's like phases to learning how to express yourself. And like, that situationship that I was in really helped me level up to the second step, where I was more like, okay, I'm feeling this way, and I want to express it in a way where I'm not like shaming or blaming, right? But I'm just like, this is my truth right now, right? And like, it was really such a blessing in that way where I did that. And now in my current relationship that is defined, um, I am able to express myself so clearly. And I don't have to wait too long to process things to really understand what's going on. Like, I know pretty quickly, like, okay, I'm feeling annoyed because of this and I'm going to express it now, right? Obviously there's nuances to that. There's like ways in which you can build a healthy way of like expressing. You may not want to just like blab it out at any moment, because you want to also be aware of like where the other person is at, right? This can be another video where I talk about strategies of communication, right? Communication magic, I like to call it. But yeah, like, I think that's my Sunday reflection, basically, where it's like, yeah, my situationship really allowed me to practice expressing my truth and how I use that to become even more in tune with myself and my vulnerability in terms of getting to that layer of, I'm hurt. I'm hurt, and I don't like telling people that I'm hurt, but I'm gonna say something, and I feel maybe insecure, and I'm gonna ask for reassurance. Can you give me some reassurance? Like, I practiced all that in the situationship, so I'm actually really grateful for it, right? And yeah, like, I also learned too at the same time that I was not fully advocating for what I wanted, in the sense that I found myself in that situationship for about 6 months, which is like a little bit of a time, right? And if I wanted to save time, next time I found myself in a similar situation, it'd probably be like a 3-month thing instead of a 6-month thing, right? But yeah, I wouldn't have changed it, because it did teach me a lot. And yeah, that is all. So now to flip back to you, right? Have you ever found yourself in a situationship? What did you learn when you were there? And did you practice anything? Did it actually help you evolve in any way? Right? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Let me know, right? Yeah, because I'm so curious on what your experience was in a situationship and how you evolved from it. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to my channel, The Hypnotist Healer. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have the best day. Okay, I love you. Bye.